Hello, my name is Beth Kellner, aka Sister Spock of the Roddenberries. I am co-captain and lead singer.
Hi, I'm Bill Tayoun, aka Spocknik of the Roddenberries and co-captain, also the keyboard player.
You're listening to Trek Untold!
Welcome to Trek Untold, the Star Trek podcast that goes beyond the stars. I'm your host, Matthew Kaplowitz. Star Trek has inspired many different people in many different ways. After watching Star Trek, some Trekkies became interested in science and went on to become doctors or engineers or even astronauts thanks to their love of this franchise. Likewise, the show affected creative people as much as it did technical-minded folks, and has given us artists, clothing designers, and even musicians. And going down that road leads us to today's guests, since we're talking to two members of the sci-fi cabaret band, the Roddenberries. They're one part rock band, one part theatrical experience, and all parts fully functional. Bill Tayoun and Beth Kellner, aka Sister Spock, comprise a small piece of the Roddenberries, a group who play music from all manner of sci-fi nerdy shows from the past to the present, along with parody songs of familiar classics with a Star Trek twist. You'll be hearing some of their music today throughout the show, and I think you'll agree it is a lot of fun. The Roddenberries have performed all around the country, including the Star Trek mission shows, at Wizard World and other Comic-Cons, along with established musical venues. They've also had the opportunity to perform on stage with some truly well-known Trek names, from Chase Masterson to Jeffrey Combs, Tawny Newsome, Robert Picardo, and a few other very cool ones we're going to spend some time talking about today. So get ready to go where no band has gone before, as we spend some time getting to know the Roddenberries. But before we begin this week's episode, I want to remind you to follow Trek Untold on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Trek Untold, all one word. You can get show updates, check out some fun memes, and let me know what you think about what's going on with the current events in the Star Trek universe. You can also support this show directly on Patreon at patreon.com/Trek Untold, where you can support this show for as little as $2 a month. At higher tiers, you can listen to the shows before they come out, know about my guests well in advance, and even have a chance to ask them questions, get transcripts of these episodes to make sure you get all the info, and more benefits coming soon, including watch parties and live streams. But that's all dependent on more fans like you coming over and letting me know you want to be a part of events like that. If you want some Trek Untold merchandise, check out our store for gear and apparel, including shirts, hats, stickers, water bottles, notebooks, and a whole lot more. New designs will be added throughout the year, so it's always worth taking a peek. Trek Untold also has an Amazon shop where you can peruse everything Star Trek, sci-fi, and geeky on Amazon in one convenient location. If you're looking for a gift for the Trekkie in your life, or maybe want to see some of my favorite non-Star Trek things that you can get for yourself, check out the link for my Amazon shop in the show notes on the audio version and in the description below this video on YouTube. If you're listening to us on iTunes or any other audio platforms that allow for ratings and reviews, please leave us a 5-star rating and a positive review to help out this show. If you're watching it on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to us at youtube.com/Trek Untold and give the video a thumbs up and a comment. All of these things help more people find this show and to continue growing and bringing you awesome guests each and every week. Now, without further ado, let's beam in this week's guest. Computer, access interview file. And welcome back to Trek Untold. And now joining us here on the other side of the screen, we are joined by several members of the Roddenberries today. We have on one side, we have Bill Tayoun, and on the other side, we have Beth Kellner. Folks, how's it going today?
Going great. We're very happy to be here and be part of this.
Same.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining me here today. It's really fun speaking to folks who aren't necessarily, like in the Trek shows proper, but are doing things around the Trek world. And you guys are doing some really fun stuff. So, for the folks who are listening today who don't know who you are, I'm very excited to be able to introduce them to you guys. But let's just start first things foremost here. Let's just get to know you guys a little bit better. And so Bill and Beth, I'd love to throw you guys the first question I ask all my guests here. and that is, what is your earliest memory of Star Trek? And Beth, I'd like to start with you.
Actually, Star Trek was probably literally my earliest memory.
Wow.
I think I started watching it when I was about 3 or 4 with my dad. And it was an old black and white TV. And he loved sci-fi. And I watched it, of course, in syndication. I wasn't around yet when it first started airing. But my dad was a huge fan, and he turned it on to us when we were very, very young. And I was hooked. I was absolutely hooked. I was a lifer from my earliest memories, pretty much. So
yeah, seriously. I mean, that pretty much is like the most formative years you can possibly have. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
We used to fight over who loved Spock the most. My siblings, literally, we would fight over who loved Spock the most. I think I won, guys, if you're watching.
I think so too.
Yeah. How about yourself, Bill?
It's a similar experience. So I'm
You also got the fist fights over who loved Spock more?
Well, yeah. I mean, I concede that to Sister Spock here. I mean, she definitely gets that one. But I'm 6 of 7. I'm the 6th of 7 kids, and and I'm second to the youngest, second to the last. So there's 10 years. My oldest brother is, I think, 11 or 12 years older than me. So growing up, Star Trek was always on, the original series. I remember seeing, the more vivid first memory of Star Trek was seeing Wrath of Khan in the movie theater. I don't know how old I was, in first grade or second grade or something like that. But I definitely remember seeing that in the movies, but it was always in the periphery. It was always around. It was always on. We love to imitate Kirk and Spock and all of those kind of things, and so that's probably where my first memories are. And then just getting latched into the music. I am a musician and played piano and started at a young age, but I was always drawn to movie soundtracks, and more specifically Star Trek.
Beth, I have to ask you, do you guys just refer to Bill as 6 of 7?
That's my
what? I knew that was going to come up as soon as he said I was 6 of 7.
He gave me the setup. I had to do the slam dunk.
I'm 3 or 4, so he wins. So he's got so many people in his family. It's like the parents keep messing the names up sometimes. Yes,
I've been assimilated. Yeah,
that's fun though. That I forgot about that memory for you though, Billy, about the Wrath of Khan, because that's another memory that I had as a child, because my dad would take us to all the Star Trek movies when they would come out, and we'd sit in the theater together as a family and just go nuts. So,
right.
Good, wholesome family fun. That's good parenting to me. Like, what parent wouldn't introduce their children to any of the Star Trek series? There's something to be learned and gained from every series. It's a beautiful thing.
There's nothing more wholesome than seeing a SETI eel crawl into someone's ear.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly what.
Well, Bill, let me toss you this one right now. I'm curious to know if you guys are from musical families at all. What was that like growing up for you guys? And this is basically my way of getting into the other second question I asked my guests, which is where were you born? Who were your parents? And what did little so and so, in this case 6 of 7, and Beth want to be when they grew up?
Yes, my family's always been very musical. Just a little segue. My family had a popular restaurant in Philadelphia for many years, like 40 years. It was a Middle Eastern restaurant where we had live music and belly dancing every night.
Oh, nice.
And I grew up, my father played an 11-string fretless instrument called an oud, which was basically the father of the lute, grandfather of the guitar. He played that. My brothers played the doumbek or darbuka, which is the drum. Always musicians there, violin players, clarinet players, Armenians, Turks, and whatever. And so Lebanese, Egyptian, there's always somebody there playing music for the dinner crowd and the belly dancers. And I was also thrown into, hey, it's in addition to bussing tables and washing dishes and waiting on tables, it's also get upstairs and, play the drum or play the keyboard or do something. We have a belly dancer going on. We have to play. So that kind of thing. Also piano lessons at a young age, at home, classical music. So I grew up with this kind of, American rock and roll, classical music plus Middle Eastern music. And it was this just a medley of all kinds of different music. So yeah.
Very cool. And after this interview, I'm going to have to see if I can hit you up and try and steal your family's recipe for hummus, because I could use a good one. And
my pleasure. Pleasure. We made a lot of it.
Oh, good. Beth, how about yourself?
I have a slightly similar story in that we didn't own a restaurant or anything like that, but we grew up with a lot of music in my house as well. My parents were very much into classical music, and my mother played the piano. She had played the organ in church growing up. My dad taught himself how to play the harmonica, the slide whistle, the zither. It was a very musical house. And I got very interested in piano when I was about 5 or 6 and had my mom start teaching me. And then I took years of piano lessons, mostly classical. And I also took about as many years of flute lessons. But when it started getting really intense with both and I was in school, I kind of had to pick one or the other. And I chose the piano because it meant more to me. And I've loved to sing my entire life. When I was little, I dreamed about being, Shirley Temple and singing and dancing and doing big numbers and stuff. Like I would wait. I couldn't wait until my my parents would leave so I could put on these musical numbers for my babysitters that I had gotten together with, like props and, background music. And I was just that kid. I was always that kid. So, it's been a lot of fun. When I first met Billy, I heard from my partner who'd known him for years. He's like, yeah, I've got this friend you really love. He plays a lot of Star Trek music on the keys. And I was like, why do I not know this person already? And so, when I met Billy, it was just like, all right, we're doing this, man. We're just going to be like besties forever.
It's true. That's what happened.
It's true. Yeah.
I feel like that's now the perfect segue to kind of get into the story of how the Roddenberries all came together. I don't quite know the chronology of how this starts or who started with who first, but let's go into that right now. Let's talk about how the band got together. So where did that original idea come from? Was it just kind of happenstance because you guys had met and were jamming a bunch, or was it something that somebody wanted to do?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. Like there was the story of Beth and her story of Trek music, and then there's my story, and then how it comes together. But for my part, I was always playing the soundtracks and themes on keys, and the ethereal stuff, the Spock's theme and Wrath of Khan, and that Vulcan very somber type of theme. All of those things. I just love it. When I hear them, and when you're actually playing them, you kind of feel like you're part in it to a certain extent. But anyway, playing that music, and then Beth's partner, who I've been friends with for many years, who actually worked at my family's place way back when. We're talking early 90s. Hosted a part of the Philadelphia Fringe Festival, some of the evening events called the late night cabarets or things like that. A few of us were on stage and playing, and I think it was my brother or somebody came and said, like, play the fight theme, the Star Trek, the fight music, and we're on stage just, starting, and we just start playing the Amok Time fight theme. And that was just like one of the events that kind of led to this. And I remember, I don't think Beth was there, but Scott's on the phone with her saying, "You got to listen to this." And so Beth has also another story that leads us to this moment. Beth, you want to say your side?
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that call. I was at the beach with my family at the time, and call was like, "Oh my God, they're playing the fight song. You got to listen to this." And I'm like, "What?" A lot of it comes around the Fringe Festival because when I moved to Philadelphia in the very end of '99, 2 years later, I met my now partner and got involved with the Fringe Festival through another friend of mine that I had been in an acapella improv singing group with. And she was huge into Star Trek, and that's how we connected at, our rehearsals when we would go to this group that we were in. And she's like, "Do you want to be in the Fringe Festival?" And I was like, "I don't know what that is." And I figured it out. It was great. And the late night cabaret, she's like, my partner now, Scott, was like, I hear you're a performer. You want to do something for the late night cabaret? And I was like, do I? And then I was like, oh my God, what do I do? So I got in touch with some of my female friends that were musicians. And I figured the coolest thing to do was just be to play some Star Trek music, because the theme from Star Trek, the original series, has literally been one of my most favorite songs my entire life. I sing that all the time. My brother and I have this thing where if we're in a stairwell or a parking garage or something, I'll just stop and sing the theme for him, and he loves it. But we did this thing, and I called the group Sister Spock, and it was me and like 4 female friends, and we just did Star Trek music. And it was like a theremin that my roommate had made, drum, guitar, and we did the theme, and we did some of the music from what I like to call the musical episode, the Space Hippies, Way to Eden, which I also love, like everything about that episode. And yeah, I guess that was a big start of it for me, because I hadn't even met Billy yet. I mean, we all kind of have our own background of Star Trek and performing and loving the music of Star Trek. And then it just came together so organically all these years later when we all got together and met each other. And it was like, okay, this is what we have to do. We don't know what we're doing yet, but we got to be in a Star Trek band. Like, what does that mean? And so we just started brainstorming and bringing other friends in. And I don't know.
The following year at the Fringe Festival was our first show.
Yeah.
And so it gelled for the year. We talked about it. What are we going to do? How are we going to do it? Who should we bring into the band? Who can do what? That kind of thing. And then the following year, Fringe Festival, Philadelphia, September, it was like the last show on a Sunday at 1 a.m. I mean, and there the Roddenberries were born. That was our first show.
That's right. In 2012, this is our 10th season this year.
Yeah.
We call them seasons.
Yeah.
I got to ask too, by the way, the Roddenberries, the name itself is pretty fun, and it kind of just gives you guys a lot, if you don't know what the music's going to be like, it kind of tells you right there with that name. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a little bit silly sometimes. Who came up with the name the Roddenberries, and were there any other names you guys might have gone with?
So, yeah.
Literally sat after our first rehearsal. We sat on Billy's front porch with everyone and just went through all kinds of names, brainstorming. We literally went through every single name of the original series episodes. It was like, we're a mock time. We're going to be sitting on the edge of forever. We're going to be, it was just like, went through all of it, like, that's kind of cheesy. We got to get a little bit more creative. I think it was actually
my brother Joe.
I think it was Joe that came up.
Yeah, Jay Ward, his Roddenberries name. He's in the band. He's the percussionist. And he had put the Roddenberries in the list of names. And as we kept like whittling down the list, okay, now we're down to these 10. Okay, now we're down to these 5. And then it was all voting at that point. And everybody loved the Roddenberries. It had a fun edge. You're right. It's got a fun. Obviously, it's got Roddenberry, but it has the it's got a punk vibe. It's got a rock vibe. It's got a funny vibe. It's funny.
It's got a space fruity feel.
Yeah.
Eating the Roddenberries.
Yeah.
I'm happy you guys didn't go with like an episode name, because that could have just gone horribly wrong for you guys. If you guys were Space Seed, that would have very different connotations than the Roddenberries.
Yes. We probably joked about that too.
Yeah.
I'm 10 years too late for it, but I'm glad at least I made it on the show. Before we get too deep, by the way, Beth, I want to ask you about something you just brought up, which was acapella improv. And I've never heard that as a thing that existed. I know about improv and improv performing, but I've never thought about it with like singing. That sounds like the scariest thing to do in the world. Please enlighten us about how acapella improv works.
I think technically, statistically, public speaking is the scariest thing in the world to people. But
what about public speaking while you're trying to sing? That sounds like pretty frightening to me. I don't know.
You know what? When I was 15, I would have been terrified, but now bring it. I don't even care. Like I'll honestly, when I moved to Philadelphia, a lot of it, I was finished with college and I went to massage school after college and I was working doing that. And I lived in a very rural area in northern Jersey where I didn't have a lot of performance opportunities. So I wanted to come to Philadelphia to open that up for me. And I essentially I was like, where do I start? I don't know anyone here, really. I know one person. So I looked in the ads, when people used to do that. And I found an audition for an acapella improv group, and I was like, I don't know what that means, but it looks fun and weird and crazy. So I went and I got in, and it was basically, I learned some, like, I've never had any professional vocal training, but I've learned a lot of tricks here and there as I've kind of moved around doing cabaret and been involved with different types of performance. But it was really interesting because it taught me a lot of different exercises. Like, there's one thing that I absolutely love called the sound pillar, and you stand in a circle with however many people you have, and one person sings a note and another person just comes in. It's not staged or anything. It's just as you feel it. Another person comes in with maybe a third or a fifth, either above or below. And then another person comes in with another note, and then everyone comes in, and people just kind of organically change their notes, and it's all directed in the column in the middle. And at some point it gets very discordant, but then there's always an unspoken finish where it just becomes beautiful and everyone is in harmony, and then everyone just kind of bows out. So, I mean, it was, we did some songs that were arranged by the director, and it was basically, Don't Worry, Be Happy. Who was the, Don't Worry, Be Happy. He does a voice extra. He's amazing. And I can't believe I can't remember his name right now. But he does, Billy, I know you're looking that up for me. Co-captain. He does something called the voice extra where it's
Bobby McFerrin. Yeah.
Bobby McFerrin. He does different things where it's all vocal. Like, everything's a cappella. Like, one person would do what would be the bass, one person would do the melody, like just basically harmonies, but every part in the group is a cappella. There's a bunch of groups out there now doing that kind of thing. But yeah, it was kind of my introduction into the music scene in Philadelphia. That didn't last very long, but my friendship with the person that brought me in, that I met there, that developed into, she knew all about the Fringe Festival and the Late Night Cabaret. She introduced me to Scott, my partner now, who was running the Late Night Cabaret. I met a ton of different performance people. I got inducted into the Big Mess Cabaret, the Big Mess Orchestra, which is a big thing in Philly for like 25 years. We had our last performance, the last show at the Trocadero, actually right before it closed down, which was crazy. But it's been an interesting ride, but that kind of got me my start in Philadelphia. And then from there, I platformed and met, all of the friends that I have now and the people with whom I like to make music.
Well, thank you, Beth, for using the word cabaret, by the way, because that actually is a great segue into my next question. Because on the Roddenberries website, it kind of describes and defines what the group is. And we didn't rehearse this, you guys. It's just improv. We're just back and forth. You guys kind of define like what the Roddenberries are, and the term that you use is like a cabaret band, and I don't really know what that term means. So, Bill, maybe you can help me out here. Can you tell us like what is a cabaret band, and how does that work with essentially being a Star Trek inspired cabaret band?
So, you're definitely, when you come to a Roddenberries show, I mean, you're coming to a show. You're not just coming to see a rock band or a band play music. It's more of an experience. There are multiple performers coming up in costume. So Beth might come out as Sister Spock singing a couple of tunes, and then followed by our garish, our Garrick-like Cardassian, very flamboyant Cardassian will come out and start singing some tunes, followed by Colonel Chuck Jägermeister coming out to do some tunes, and there's a multimedia aspect behind behind us. So you're actually and also joined by our dancers. So we that are augmenting the song or the performance. So you have, it's not just a band playing music, it's an experience. There's a lot of things happening on stage. So it is a bit of a cabaret. I mean, some people have seen us without that. So when the Roddenberries do like the house band for the Creations STLV, so you might see us out there just bringing, musically bringing actors on stage and off stage. But But when we're doing our full-on shows, it is more of a cabaret. There's a lot more going on, and there's more of an experience for the audience.
So when you guys are doing your performances, there's a few different elements, as you just mentioned, that go into the show. And one of the things I guess that you guys do is you're traditionally playing the classical Star Trek orchestra score. So that could be a theme song. It could be something from one of the movies or one of the shows or whatever. So I'd love to hear a little bit about how that all comes together. Because, I guess in this case, too, for folks who haven't heard what you guys sound like, kind of describe what the sound of the Roddenberries is also, and what you're doing to kind of make these classic themes sound different, sound special.
There's quite a few things. I mean, sometimes we like to just try to play the themes the way they are, but they will lead into some other fun parody, like a rock parody. So, for example, Next Generation. We will play the way the end of the Next Generation theme ends, like the last part of that song. But it will end the last note is the very beginning of instead of My Generation from The Who, it's Next Generation, where Beth has rewritten the lyrics, and there's a parody of that, all based on Next Generation. So we like to find ways of fusing both the actual thematic music, the themes with some rock tunes, and there's various, I guess, forms of that. We'll turn the DS9 theme into a loungy jazz theme, right? And just have fun with it. But then we'll play it the correct way as well, with the added electric guitars in it, which makes it just so cool. But it's different things. It all has to do with how, like, an idea, oh, this sounds cool, let's do that. There's no necessarily rhyme or reason of how the Roddenberries approach everything. It's a matter of feel. It's a matter of a fun idea. Oh, let's try this, let's try that. Some things
let's
stick,
do reggae, let's do ska.
Yeah, well, we've turned things exactly. Let's do a reggae version of that, a ska version of this. You can pretty much turn anything into ska or reggae, but yeah, I mean, it's just, and also, what are we doing it for? Is it for a cabaret show? Is it for an album? Is it for a dance party? Are we playing at a wedding? We've played weddings, so it's what are we doing it for? And we'll bring out certain variants of songs based on what we're doing.
Within that, there are a lot of parody songs, and for folks who check out your YouTube channel and the Spotify as well, you'll be able to hear and see a lot of those songs performed. And that's stuff like Tanagra, which is a parody of My Sharona. You guys have Crusher, which is a parody of Billy Joel's Pressure, which I love that one. I'm a big fan of Riker's Kiss also, which is essentially Kiss by Prince, but all about Riker. There's What I Like About Q. There's the classic Spock Lobster. There's a lot of really great stuff out there. So I'm going to now make you guys each pick a favorite, though, and maybe this will get our audience to kind of choose one to listen to, give them a try. Let's start with you, Beth. What's your favorite parody song that you performed?
Oh boy. I have to say, for me, it's tough because I have so much fun with this band. But I think in performing, I'm going to have to say it's a tie between Riker's Kiss and Space Lord Vader. Space Lord Vader's not recorded, but we have videos out. It's a Monster Magnet song that I changed into a song about Darth Vader, and I dress as Vader and sing the song. Monster Magnet is what they call stoner rock, and they're from Red Bank, New Jersey, and they kill. They're amazing. One of my most
jams.
Oh, they're so good. They're just so heavy and just so good. I remember pitching that to the band, and they're like, "I don't know who this is. I don't." But I'm like, "Trust me, you guys. We're gonna want to do this song, and I'm gonna rewrite the lyrics. It's gonna be everything." It's so fun to perform that song, though. It really is. And Riker's Kiss, I get to be Drag Riker. So, I mean, how could I possibly be upset about that? Remember the very first time that we performed that song was at Frankie Bradley's, and no one had seen I got my costume together and, outside of rehearsals and stuff. And so the very first time we performed it, I came out to the beginning of that song as Drag Riker, and our bass player, Ned, had no idea who I was. He's like, who is this? Do you remember that? He was like, who the hell is that coming out on stage? And I'm looking at him and I'm like,
yeah.
Hi, Ned, it's me.
Now, you've never heard Kiss performed until you've seen it in its traditional Starfleet with Drag Riker.
It's true. It's true.
we met Jonathan Frakes a couple years ago for the first time, and he's such a cool guy. And I was like, yeah, I do a drag Riker of you to a Prince song. And he's like, of course you
do. Yeah, he did say that. It was.
I think all of us were just like pile driving him that weekend, like with CDs and T-shirts. And he's like, "Hi, Roddenberries. Hi, Roddenberries. Bye. We love you, Jonathan Frakes."
How about you, Bill? What's your favorite that the band performs?
I have to say, I have a tie of the two. I have to say, Riker's Kiss as well, because I get to play my guitar. And I don't have to do that much, and I get to have fun and move around a little bit. Where most of the other songs, I'm a lot of the melody, so I have to pay attention to a lot of things. But for Riker's Kiss, I'm playing three chords, and basically fifths, and I can stand and just watch Beth and watch the performance and enjoy myself. So that's definitely one I love to play for that reason. The other one is our Cantina Band theme. We did this medley of the Cantina theme from Star Wars, and inside, and we usually end our shows. This is one of the last, or the one leading up to the last song of most of our shows, and it's the Cantina theme that everybody knows and loves. But inside of the Cantina, we do 6 different songs. We'll break into 6 different. There's a bridge, or there's a breakdown that the Cantina goes to, and then we'll go to that breakdown, and then we'll jump into, and we change it for mostly every show. We change it. So this past run is the 6 songs where I think it was Mandalorian, or not Mandalorian, Boba Fett, Spider-Man, Legend of Zelda, James Bond theme. So like we jump in. It doesn't have to be Star Trek. It doesn't have to be Star Wars. We're more of just pop culture, fun pop culture stuff. And so we'll jump into all kinds of things, and we change it. We did a Halloween version where we did the Addams Family, the Munsters. Then we went into
doing a little Suspiria.
What was it?
Halloween theme.
Halloween theme, Exorcist, all of these things. So like we do that kind of anyway. It's musically, it's intense, it's challenging, but it's extremely fun to do. And when the band is all locked in and doing those quick changes very fast, it's amazing to be part of that. When 13 or 10 people are doing that, and a horn section at the same time is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it sounds really cool. I mean, I'd love to hear that happen live, because I imagine with the energy of the audience too, it really just makes it something very different. And I'm glad you brought that up too, by the way, because I know, like, you guys, I think your emphasis is Star Trek, but yeah, you guys have some stuff with like Doctor Who, with Star Wars, as you mentioned as well. So it's really just everything in the sci-fi and nerdy realm, and even just beyond that, like you said, pop culture too. So It's a lot of fun, a lot of different influences there to play with.
Yes, it's a lot. You'll see a lot of themes of, because then Beth and I grew up late 70s, 80s, early 90s. There's a lot of influences there that will find its way into our tunes.
There are.
All of a sudden, one of the tunes we did last year was like Knight Rider, or fun things like that you can play with. So yeah, we like to bring things from our childhood into it.
Yeah, speaking to that, and for the record, like, what band isn't going to do Knight Rider? It's one of the hottest theme songs ever for a weird, like, sci-fi TV show. I'm sorry, but it had to be done. 2 years ago at STLV Creations, we did a cabaret, and Will and the characters, the actors that play Will and Holly from Land of the Lost, the Sid and Marty Krofft stuff from the 70s. Like Electra Woman and Dinah Girl, Sigmund and the Sea Monsters, Lidsville, the Bugaloos, all that stuff. So they were Will and Holly, and Kathy Coleman and Wesley Ure. We got them on stage to sing a medley of the theme for the Land of the Lost, which Wesley Ure had sung on the show, for the show. And that was super fun, because they come to the Star Trek conventions and set up because there was a lot of crossover in the Star Trek writers and the producers and the costume people that were happening at that time into Land of the Lost. It was at the time their highest budget show for Sid and Marty Krofft. And for example, Walter Koenig, he wasn't really involved in the animated series as one of the voices. He was the only one. And that was because he was off writing sci-fi stuff. He introduced one of the big characters on Land of the Lost, Enoch, who was the talking Sleestack. I'm going to get real nerd with you right now. I'm going to go down a deep nerd hole. But he introduced this character called Enoch that was going to be Eneg, which was Gene spelled backwards as a tribute to Gene Roddenberry, but they thought that was too weird or close to whatever. So they changed it to Enoch, and then there it was. So Walker Edmondson played that role.
Yeah. I don't even know where to come in with that one. That was even nerdier than I could possibly go.
I love Nerdosphere. Listen, we love so much of this. There's so many different levels of Nerdosphere, and we love them all. And we don't want to go into any show understanding how smart our fans are and the people that we're going to perform to are. So we don't want to assume that they don't also love Battlestar Galactica. They don't always love these crazy 70s trippy shows that we watched. Star Wars and Star Trek, we can all get along. You know, we like to unite the Nerdosphere and just bring up as much stuff as possible. We actually had one guy come up and say, what did he say, Billy? It was like, I've never had 3 of my tattoos represented in a set list before.
Yeah, that was pretty
I thought
cool.
That was one of the coolest things I've ever
heard.
It's
like, we won. We won.
We win.
Yeah. Best compliment you can get.
Yeah.
Trek Untold will return momentarily.
Trek Untold is sponsored by Triple Fiction Productions. Celebrating 15 years in business in 2023, TFP creates 3D printed Star Trek and sci-fi inspired items that fit into any collection. Whether you're a cosplayer who wants a Starfleet phaser, a Bajoran tricorder, or a Klingon dagger, or a toy collector looking for that special accessory or diorama to make your figures truly stand out, Triple Fiction Productions has exactly what you need. And for you figure fanatics, that includes products that are the perfect size for Galoob, Mego, Playmates, and everything in between. All products are 3D printed in the US, with new designs constantly being updated on their website. Repeat customers can sign up for TFP's loyalty program for free, where the more you order, the more discounts you receive. TFP also has a Pay What You Want section, where clearance or misprinted items are available at a discounted price. Best of all, every product can be shipped worldwide. As a special bonus for listeners of this show, Trek Untold has a special discount code just for you. Enter Untold10 at checkout for 10% off of all orders with no minimum purchase required. That's 10% off using Untold10. To see all of their products, head to triple-fictionproductions.net. Or to stay up to date on their newest products, find them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Triple Fiction Productions, where something is only impossible until it happens.
Are you looking for the perfect fashion statement to show you're a geek and proud of it? Well, welcome to Geek Girls Castle, where I make fun and functional geeky clothing and accessories for every occasion. My name is Missy, and I started creating my own gear and apparel in 2015 to bring nerdy products to the geek girl population, which does include all LGBTQA+, non-binary, and POC and BIPOC folks. I couldn't find anything for us gals except t-shirts, so I decided to combine my passion for fashion with my fandoms, ranging from handmade skirts with really large pockets, travel accessories like toiletry bags, luggage tags, and zippered pouches. I also embroider nerdy items for home decor like wall hangings and hand towels, and products like keychains, bookmarks, and journal covers. Need something to carry all that in? Well, I make great bags to put all those accessories into or onto. Whether you like Star Trek, Star Wars, Doctor Who, Marvel, DC, and everything else in between, there is something for every geek girl. My website is constantly updated with new styles and fandoms, no matter what time or dimension you come from. If you'd like to browse my products or ask for something custom, visit me at geekgirlscastle.com. That's geekgirlscastle.com.
We know that you guys do a lot of parody songs. We've just talked about those. And again, folks can check them out on YouTube or Spotify. But just out of curiosity, again, not meant to be insulting in any way, but like, do you guys do any original songs as well? Do you guys have any like original compositions that you will perform at the shows?
We have a couple of original compositions. I think what you're going to see in our next iteration, our next album, there's going to be some originals on that. There's some things that we have that we play in our shows that we haven't really recorded because we haven't really said this is what it is. It's this, and it ends here. Like things, a lot of the original stuff were fluid. We definitely have one pretty awesome. It's called The Way It Is. The Way It Is. It's a Mandalorian rap essentially. It's really cool. We I don't even know if we did it in Vegas this past year. Did we? No, we did it in the show before we went to Vegas. But that will definitely be on our next album. Or we might just record it as a single or something like that, or as an EP. But there's a couple of, there was like, what is it? Groove Factor 9, I think we did one time. There's a couple of other originals that we have, but we just need to lock them in. But I think that will be an emphasis of our next album.
All right. So you guys have also had the opportunity to perform with a bunch of luminaries in the sci-fi world. We already mentioned one from Land of the Lost. But in terms of Star Trek, I mean, you guys have done a few things with J.G. Hertzler. So tell us about that and how that relationship began.
The relationship with JG is an amazing. How it started was like it really essentially comes down to, we're in Vegas, 2016. We were brought to Vegas by Roddenberry Entertainment to play on the Roddenberry stage. We weren't on the main stage, and the way Roddenberry found out about us and invited us, that's a whole trek in and of itself. It's pretty amazing. But anyway, we're there. We're hosting the Roddenberry stage as the band for 3 days. And we're playing the show, and it's packed. It's Saturday. It's a Saturday night or Friday night or whatever. And JG's next door hosting Klingon karaoke with Robert O'Reilly, and we're playing, and we're loud, and JG's like coming over, yelling at everybody. What the, effing man, this, like, shut that off. I forget some of the things he said, but he was getting pissed.
Oh, Klingon.
We get all Klingon on us. Anyway, we end up stopping our set so they can do Klingon karaoke. Okay. That's how we met JG. And then.
Well, but remember, Scott, our resident Klingon, my partner, he made them a foam core, like, guitar, because they were using mic stands and stuff to play along with the people as they were singing. So that was his peace offering. And then afterwards, it was just like, okay, you're not so bad.
Right. And then the next year, we met with JG, and we were having a conversation with him. We weren't performing in Vegas. We were just there talking, and he had some ideas. He was talking about running for Congress. And we're like, hey, we can help you. What can we do to support you and all of that? And I remember, we traveled up to Geneva, New York, and performed a benefit, or performed a show, for his election campaign and that kind of thing. And it was a really cool thing. And then we also did, we actually did the music for his campaign videos. Like, it was like, I remember we did a parody of, like, Why Not Me? It was like, Why Not JG? And it was some really funny stuff. Anyway, we established a really awesome relationship. And then in 2019, when we did our album release, he came and we brought in John Paladin, and JG came and did his prosthetics, and he wore his full attire, and he was Martok for our show, and he actually played keys on a tune, and there's a video out there of that as well. And then just this past year in September, and I won't forget it because it was the day that Queen Elizabeth passed away. It was the day of our show. That's how I know. But he was in Philly performing as Martok again with us, and he played keys again on a show. So he's a member of the Roddenberries, honorary member of the Roddenberries. He's
our Klingon punk rock uncle.
Uncle, yeah.
He's so cool.
That's a good way to put it. Klingon punk rock uncle. That's really cool. And yeah, Beth, you also got to have a few really cool experiences at the Star Trek Las Vegas thing, because you also got to sing the opening number of Pippin with Ben Vereen. That must have been amazing.
Wow. So, yeah.
That's some magic to do, Beth.
God. All right. So, we went through that song a million times, and I knew it. And for some reason, and I wasn't really nervous going on stage, because I felt like we should be there, and it was just so much fun, and it was like, this is my life dream, and I love doing this. But for Ben Vereen, it was different. I don't know why. I was so nervous. I was so convinced I was going to screw it up. And, we kind of figured that he was going to want to sing, or we planned for if he was going to want to sing. So we picked that song and we saw him getting into it in the beginning and then chose to walk him out with it again at the end because he looked like he was into it. And then he just got up and walked over and started singing.
It was magical.
And
it was magical.
I was blown away. I was absolutely blown away that, I was singing with him, and he's such an amazing human being, and he's such a gifted performer, and he's like one of the last of the, great showmen of his time. And he's all about the music and the performance and working with musicians and eye contact. And he's very generous on stage. Although he's this amazing, incredible performer that is just an idol.
Yeah.
And, after he came up and he sang with us and, all right, have a great day, Trekkers. And he walked off stage and I just instantly started snot crying. And I was like, I need to turn around. But of course, the only thing I could wipe my snot on was the mask that I had, because it was 2021. So it was COVID and everybody had to wear masks. I just remember running off stage, like pushing people my way to get down in that green room, like kick the bathroom door open crying. And I'm calling my parents and I'm like, Mom, get Dad. She's like, what's the matter? She was a nurse for 4 years. So she's thinking I broke my leg or something. I'm like, get Dad. No, it's good. It's like, I just sang with Ben Vereen, sobbing in the bathroom. He might have heard me from the green room next door. I don't even know. But it was absolutely one of the bucket list highlights of my entire lifetime. It really was.
Yeah, it's such a cool moment, and I'm really happy that was also caught on videos that it's on the Roddenberries YouTube channel, so that everybody can check it out. And I couldn't tell you were a wreck, so you hit it well if you were.
Thank you, thank you.
But this is actually kind of cool now because we're going to keep talking celebrities for a second, but this also ties into some Star Trek history because one of the other people you got to perform with was Chase Masterson, and I think it was a 55-year mission where she sang essentially a parody of the opening theme song to the original series. But I think a lot of folks might not know that the original Alexander Courage theme song actually has lyrics, real lyrics. And so I'd really like to ask if you guys wouldn't mind. Let's dive into a little bit of obscure Trek history here, Beth. Can you tell us maybe a little bit about the lyrics to the original Star Trek theme?
Oh, wow. Okay. So, it's funny that with Chase, we kind of last minute, like maybe a week or two before we went, she contacted us and said, hey, they want me to do this opening thing. Can you guys learn these different tunes? And we were actually going to do the theme from Star Trek, and the way that we perform it normally, we start a lot of our shows with the original theme, and it starts with the lyric, and then it goes into the operatic part for the second half. But those lyrics were actually, and they're super fun and cheesy, they were written by Gene Roddenberry. To my knowledge, it was because if the song had made a hit, or for whatever reason, he kind of wanted to have some of the kickback of money coming in from that. So he wrote the lyrics so that he and Alexander Courage could share any kind of revenue. Thank you. Invisible partner from the other room. It's kooky, but it's cheesy, but it's one of the things that we love so much about the original series, because there is the camp and there's the bright colors and there's some cheesy things that happen in the shows, but it's amazing. It's just amazing. I mean, beyond the rim of the starlight, my love is wandering in starflight. I know he'll find in star-clustered reaches, love, sweet love, a star woman preaches. I know his journey ends never. His Star Trek will go on forever. But tell him while he's wandering his starry seas, and that's wandering with an apostrophe, R-I-N-G. I went to school for creative writing. I love those little touches. Remember me. And those are the lyrics. And a lot of people don't know them, but the real nerds, they know those lyrics and they appreciate when they hear them at our shows. And I'm like, you're my people. I see people singing along every once in a while. I'm like, yes, out there.
They are awful lyrics, but the song is just like still an earworm somehow in spite of them.
Yeah, it is.
I said, it's one of my all-time favorite songs ever, my whole life. So I love everything about that song, everything about it.
So have you guys considered, as maybe a future Roddenberries act, adding lyrics to the other theme songs?
Well, we sort of did that. The one with actual lyrics, the theme for Enterprise, you know how it's such a different song than any of the other theme songs. And what I heard was that when that came out, the fans were so outraged by the choice of theme song that they were literally lining up at the studio protesting. And I was like, I even heard a rumor that Simon Pegg, who's a huge Star Trek fan, hated it so much that he wouldn't watch Enterprise. That sounds crazy to me. Because it's a great series. All of them are great series.
I love the series. I love Enterprise, yeah.
I love it too. But, we actually wrote our own kind of response to all the people that, hated the theme song very much. It took me a while to get into the theme. I have to admit, I was one of those like,
Do you want? Should we give Matthew a couple of lines from our version?
Am I going to get in trouble?
Well, we can try it. Let's see. I think it's great.
Okay. They picked the wrong song. The reason was never clear. But when the credits roll, we must face our darkest fear. I die a little death with every line. Keep asking myself why. Oh, where did Alexander Courage go? Skip intro and never rewind. It's like a stab through the heart. Linger torches 3 days straight. It's like my fate has been sealed. And I've lost faith in everything this tune grates on my soul. At least they could have chose Rod Stewart's version. I can't take anymore. It's a theme mistake. Sing the backup, Billy. My heart breaks with a stake through the heart. I'm so not warmed up right now. That was probably
that was amazing. I wish I actually had a lighter to do it the right way there, but
God. It's funny because we did that song, the actual song, in the convention, because when we're doing the house band in the morning and the end of the afternoon, we have to do a full song. And so one of the days was, a little Enterprise-y, and we did that song. And I'm so used to singing our lyrics.
I know.
That I really have to go, I literally have to have it in front of me so I don't screw it up, They picked the wrong song. I don't want to go on stage and sing that to, 4,000 screaming Enterprise fans and get booed off stage.
Yes.
We do it at our shows, though.
Yeah.
We have done it at our shows.
Yeah, when we're at a club or a bar, and
when we're feeling frisky.
Yeah, it's fun. We have to do that.
Well, thank you for sharing that. That's wow. I'm not going to forget that one. It's somehow accurate too, though. But yeah.
Hashtag I love Star Trek. It's all out of love.
Yeah.
I think there's one other really cool celeb moment I want to talk about with the Roddenberries here. This is my favorite one personally from what I watched on your channel. You guys got the jam with Rainn Wilson, aka Harry Mudd from Discovery, and fingers crossed, hopefully Strange New Worlds, because come on, he has to show up on Strange New Worlds, right?
Yes, he does.
Right? Okay, good, not just me.
Yes,
but yeah, you guys got the jam with Rainn Wilson. That's so cool. He seems like such a naturally cool kind of guy to begin with. But talk to me about being up there and playing Led Zeppelin with that man.
Wow.
Just want to say, what threw us off, and we were like, this is like the dreams coming true, not even knowing we had this dream, right? But he sits down, and the first thing he says to the moderator is, I want to play with the band. It's the first thing he said. We didn't expect this. We didn't know this was happening or whatever. Yeah. And then they were like, hey, can keep the band.
We hadn't even gotten fully off stage yet. So we all pop our head back in the curtain. We're like, are you serious? Okay, let's do it.
And so they said, come out, get ready to go on stage 10 minutes or so before his panel's up. And so what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And we have another parody, which we didn't rehearse at all. We didn't plan to play in Vegas. It's called A Whole Lot of Mud. And it's all
so A Whole Lot of Love, Led Zeppelin, but it's all about mud, obviously. So
Yeah, so we're like, let's just go out with that, and like we like relearned it in the green room, and just to make sure we knew it. And a lot of that was happening. So the other thing about Rainn Wilson is we found out 2 days before Rainn Wilson, or a day before, that Rainn Wilson was added to the list.
I think we found out that day, like that morning. He was the mystery panel that they were trying to fill.
Right. And so we didn't find out. And then all of a sudden we find out that morning or whatever that, it's going to be Rainn Wilson. Okay, what do we do for him? How do we bring him on? Well, let's do the Office theme. Well, we don't know the Office theme. Well, let's go learn the Office theme. So we're backstage and we learned the Office theme backstage that day to bring him out. And, that's because we make sure we have our instruments backstage and some amplification so that we can do that on demand, that type of thing. And so, yeah, but then that added, I want to play with the band, and then him coming in and sitting in with us was a pretty magical experience.
Harry Mudd playing drums for our tribute to Harry Mudd. Like,
yeah.
It doesn't get any better than
it's like it's
Star Trek band.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's next? Jonathan Frakes is gonna come sit in. He's gonna be one of my Rikettes.
Right.
Man,
Or
listen,
John
August
Delancey's gonna see what I like about Q,
I mean, August is a few months away, right? The next convention, so anything could happen.
We're planning some fun stuff. We are planning some fun stuff. So I'm definitely looking forward to it.
All right. So on that note, guys, I mean, that's a lot of fun performances you had with a lot of Trek luminaries. So, just looking at the entire career of the Roddenberries as a whole right now, what would you say was the Roddenberries' best performance ever? And what was their worst performance ever? What was that like one nightmare venue where everything just kind of sunk terribly?
Billy, what was that? I don't think it's open anymore. What was the name of that venue? And you guys came after the burlesque show. North Star Bar. That was a little crazy because we literally played in a blizzard and we had maybe 20 people show up. People were coming in, 3 feet of snow to see this show. That was pretty crazy. But we also did have, you think Fieldhouse?
They were both pretty sucky.
I mean,
come on.
I don't know. We did just we did have a show. I will not name the venue. That was kind of one thing after the other going wrong. There was an argument with the owner. The owner kicked our chief engineer out of the building. They were not agreeing with our contract. They weren't doing anything as to what we agreed upon, and it was just we came literally this close to canceling the show and all leaving. And that was the only time that's ever happened. But the lovely and talented William Tayoun was able to work his magic. And we ended up playing that night. And it was actually a pretty great show. And I'm glad we did play because we had people we had people fly in from Texas, from Florida, from Connecticut. Like we had friends come from all over to see that show for whatever reason. Yeah. I think it was just because we hadn't performed in so long because it had been COVID and we weren't really doing live shows. So that was crazy. But then we actually just did that World Cafe live show with JG. And it was like, I feel like so many things came together at the last minute and everybody was kind of like, what's happening? What's going on? JG, what's happening? What's going on? And there were so many things that were going crazy throughout the show. But I feel like it was one of our best shows because everyone fell forward and everyone just was like, I don't know what kind of language I can use, but everybody's like, just forget it. And let's just have the best show ever. And we did. And it was a great, great show. It was a really fun show. Our album release too was really, really fun with JG.
Yeah. So with the Roddenberries, in general, if we haven't performed together for a while, those initial shows sometimes are a little rough. But that show that Beth just talked about, we played at World Cafe Live in Philadelphia with JG on Star Trek Day. That Star Trek Day show, there was so many crazy things that went wrong on stage. But the band just coming off of Vegas and some other shows, we were at a point where we didn't have to worry and think too much about the music. We could just play and have fun. And so we did. We fell forward and had fun with it. And if somebody made a mistake, everybody was just laughing at it and just kept going. And that kind of show it makes you even want to do better and play more and play better. And so, yeah, that was probably one of our best shows. Even the show that we had the problems with the venue and all that, that was probably one of our better shows. It was an amazing performance, I think, by the band, despite all the chaos. And just early on in like as we call them, season 2 and 3 of the Roddenberries, we're still trying to find our footing. And when you have this many people in a band, and you not only have to worry about the band, but you have to worry about the 4 dancers and this singer and that singer coming from this direction or that direction. And the percussionist has 5 or 6 inputs, and I'm the keyboard player, and I have 5 or 6 inputs, and there's 2 guitars and a bass guitar, and Beth has her flute, or is she playing vocal or singing vocals? All of the things that are on stage that we have to kind of work through, we have a system for it now. Before it was a lot of mess, a lot of chaos, and now like we know exactly what we need where, and so it's a lot easier now.
Yeah, we definitely firmed it up over the years, but that you live and learn. I think as people, we like to go through life just putting it all out there and doing your best, and then stuff is going to go wrong. It's just, especially with live performance, you don't know if the sound's going to cut out or the microphone is going to not work. We've had so many times where, we're literally jumping back and forth to use each other's mics. And it was maybe more awkward in the earlier seasons of the Roddenberries, but now it's just like, it's par for the course. So it's a little smoother, I think. And also the band has played together so much, and we're all friends, that I feel like everybody's really good at paying attention and listening to each other. And that makes a huge difference as well, pulling it off, especially when things are going a little south. Like, we just know. And there's so many professional musicians, like music teachers, people that gig for a living. And so there's a lot of, I want to say there's a lot of talent that's brought in. Some of these cats that we have in the band are just ridiculous.
Yeah. If they didn't enjoy being in a Exactly. If they didn't enjoy being in a Star Trek band or want to be it, they're not in it for the money. That's for sure. I mean, do we make money when we go to Vegas or whatever? And then, nothing great. And they're going to make more money doing weddings and doing the things that they do for weekends and things like that. But the amount of work the band puts in to what we do is amazing. And we could never afford to pay some of these professional musicians that are in the band what they would normally get and what they're worth. They're doing it because they love it as well. And it's just fun, and it's different, and it's exciting. And we're very thankful for that. And we're blessed as a band that we've been so cohesive for so long, and people still want to do this. We've done these shows. I mean, before the last couple of years, it was just like, hey, you want to do this? And it's like you almost had to pay to be in the Roddenberries because you had to buy this and buy that and buy this. So it's gotten so much better, and we're blessed for all the musicians we have.
So what are the plans for the Roddenberries here in 2023? Is there a new album on the horizon, maybe?
Yes, there's a new album that we're talking about. There are some touring ideas that we have, some fun touring ideas that we won't get into yet because we need to kind of
you need to hash that out.
Yeah, a little bit more, but we have some fun touring ideas. Vegas, of course, and hopefully some more conventions. I mean, our one of our goals is to be playing conventions and cons and doing that. That's where our people are. That's where we find that's really the dream that we have, is to play those kinds of things, those conventions.
Well, Beth, for folks who want to hear, or listen, or watch the Roddenberries, where can they go to do that, and where can they go to follow you guys on social media?
We are on all the social media. You can find the Roddenberries on YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We have a SoundCloud. We have a Bandcamp. If you go to our website at theroddenberries.com, you can find all of our social media links there. If we have any upcoming events, it's going to be right there for you to see. We're everywhere. We have actually a couple of professional videographers in our band proper. So we have a lot of media out there. We have we're very blessed to have a lot of representation. We have a ton of videos. We've got recorded music that's out there. You can buy it. You can listen to it on different platforms. Just go in and check it out. And
there's our new Etsy page.
Yes, our new Etsy page. Oh, I forgot about the Etsy.
Yeah, that has some cool. This is our own band art. This is the Saru Pan's Labyrinth.
It's Kelpian.
Pan's Kelpian.
And Doug Jones loves it.
Yeah. So that's out there.
I am going to need that shirt, and I mean literally that shirt you're wearing right now off your back. So please just send that to me as soon as you can, because that's I love that idea. That's a great concept.
That's Beth's partner, Scott, who's in the band, who does various characters on stage. It's his art. I mean, he's designed our logo. He's most of the visual representation when it comes to graphics and art and the artistic design is from his brain, and we're thankful for him as well. But this is definitely
one of the two videographers too.
Yeah.
Him and Commander, they put together all the visuals, the multimedia that we use.
Yeah.
All right. Well, shout out to those fine folks. So last question for today. I'll start this with you, Beth. What is the best thing about being a part of the Star Trek universe?
You know, the first thing that jumps into my head, I want to just say everything, but that's kind of a lame answer. I know you guys understand because you're also part of the Star Trek universe. But I think the coolest thing is that it's such a family. It really is. It's so welcoming. And I remember specifically talking to, some of the people from Strange New Worlds who they're experiencing this crazy, fame right now because it's the big new series and everyone loves it. It's my favorite new series. It's amazing. And they're like, wow, this is crazy. You people are instantly just accepted us into the fold, into this, 50 plus year long franchise that has gone through so many different series. And I feel like the camaraderie and the people and the friendships that we've made and just our mutual passion and love for Star Trek and also all things sci-fi. Star Trek people are the best people. They're fun.
That's true.
They're intelligent. They're smart. They're very dedicated. And I love it. I love being around my Star Trek family, and it's inspiring. And you just talk to some of the people at the convention and where they're from and what their backgrounds are and how they came to love the Star Trek shows. And it really feels like a community. It's a very close-knit community, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful place to be. I mean, aside from the fact that, the original ideals that Gene Roddenberry professed were just, I mean, that's what we all want, like live together in harmony and acceptance and infinite diversity in infinite combinations, the whole IDIC. It's a beautiful, beautiful world. And we want to be as much a part of it as we can. And if we can help, be a part of it by making this music and, getting people to have fun outside of their crappy day or, their day job. And now people are working from home. If we can help to bring people out of that and explore a little fantasy with us for a little while and just have fun, just be silly. I'm all about that. I mean, this is bucket list for me to be in a Star Trek band and to be a part of this huge, beautiful family of actors, production people, everybody from the top level all the way down. It's a beautiful world, and I'm very blessed to be a part of it.
How about you, Bill? What's the best thing for you?
I can't, I mean, that has to be the same thing. It really does come down to two things. It really comes down to the people and, again, the ideals of Star Trek. It's those two things. And because of Star Trek and its ideals and its stories, you get these awesome people. But these, it's a cycle. I was watching your interview with Nana, and I think what she said, it's a bonfire, right? And it's about the bonfire, but no, it's about the people. It's this big, how she described why she loves it and what it is to her now. It's a similar thing. And again, as Beth said, this is bucket list. I mean, who would have thought of doing the thing that you love to do, your passion, music, your favorite sci-fi, and playing music, and then being asked to actually perform in front of thousands of people in Las Vegas for that very thing. I mean, there's no, it's an amazing feeling being able to we didn't have expectations of that starting this. We were just like, hey, let's just have fun and do the cool thing we love. And that turned into this amazing experience of a lifetime. So, yeah, I mean, all of those things. But again, back to your question, it's the people that really are, I think, the inspiring part.
Well, to all the people who are listening today, do make sure you follow the Roddenberries on social media. Definitely subscribe to their YouTube page because I got to tell you guys, your videos are criminally underviewed also. We got to change that today. So everybody who's watching, go over there, sub to their channel, start watching their vids. You're going to get hooked. It's really easy to get hooked on their stuff. Likewise, check them out on Spotify. Listen to it when you're in the car or on a walk or whatever. Your stuff's a lot of fun. I love just how genuine and like authentic it feels in terms of being like, an actual Trekkie experience. This isn't like someone trying to cash in. Like, you can tell this is a real passion project. This is something you guys love doing. It shows in the music that you're making. So thank you for that. Fingers crossed I get to go to Vegas this year, and I hope I can see you guys if you're going to be there and see you guys perform live, because I want to get in on that action. So, to you guys and to all the members of the Roddenberries, thank you so much for what you're doing, and keep it up.
Thank you so much, Matthew, for having us.
Thank you so much.
And send me your address. Send me your address. I will send this to you.
And your shirt size.
Yes.
I'm over in the Delta Quadrant somewhere. But yeah, thank you guys so much. And until next time, as I say, live long and party hard.
Yes, live long and rock on.
Live long and rock on.
That's it for this week's episode of Trek Untold. Until next time, don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Trek Untold, all one word. If you'd like to directly support this podcast, please consider becoming a Patreon supporter over on patreon.com/Trek Untold, which gives you access to some great perks that can't be beat. Or pick up some merchandise from our store, or use my Amazon shop link to check out all kinds of different Star Trek merchandise. Links for all these things are in the show notes. Shout out to Triple Fiction Productions for being a key sponsor of Trek Untold. Don't forget to check them out and all of the fine folks whose ads you've seen or heard on this podcast too. If you have any questions, feedback, or comments for the show, or would like to suggest a guest or discuss sponsorship options for any of these episodes in the future, send me a message at trekuntold@gmail.com. I hope to see you here again as we uncover more untold stories from Star Trek and beyond, and get to know even more amazing people who have contributed to this ever-expanding universe. Until next time, I'm Matthew Kaplowitz, and remember, fortune favors the bold.
Trek Untold is sponsored by TrekSphere.com, promoting fan-produced Star Trek content in all forms, is powered by the Rageworks podcasting network, and is affiliated with Nerd News Today.